North Korea will be at the top of the agenda next week when President Trump welcomes South Korea's new president for a White House summit. This morning, our Norah O'Donnell has the first one-on-one interview with Moon Jae-in since he was elected. He spoke about his approach to solving the crisis with North Korea. Norah joins us again from Seoul, where the changing dynamics in the region. Norah, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Charlie. It has been fascinating to be here on the ground and do some reporting about what is going to be this fundamental shift in policy in dealing with the North Koreans. President Moon told us that he believes the Obama administration's policy of strategic patience was a failure, in his words. So he wants to restart dialogue with the North Koreans. The question is, how is that going to happen when Kim Jong-un has promised to make this country, South Korea, in his words, a sea of fire? President Trump has called Kim Jong-un a madman with nuclear weapons. Do you believe that he is a madman? And why do you want to talk to a madman?
Kim Jong-un is not a rational person, but I would like to also note that President Trump once even mentioned he is willing to talk with Kim Jong-un over a burger, and that he has another point he mentioned that it would be an honor to be able to meet Kim Jong-un. So I believe President Trump went much further than I did.
Do you believe that Kim Jong-un likes burgers?
아마도. Most likely, maybe.
Most likely.
So I believe what Kim Jong-un would want the most is to have a security guarantee for his regime. So there is a possibility that Kim Jong-un continues to make the bluff with his nuclear weapons programs, but deep inside he is actually yearning or wanting dialogue. But in the end, the only way to find out is to have a dialogue with North Korea.
Let me ask you, it is the view of U.S. intelligence that North Korea will likely test an ICBM this year. Would you oppose a preemptive strike by the United States to take that out before the test?
I believe when it comes to North Korea's nuclear missile threats, it is the Republic of Korea that is more dire. For the United States, the North Korean threat is a future threat on the horizon. But for us, this is a matter of life and death. When it comes to preemptive strike that you mentioned, I believe that this is something we can discuss at a later stage when the threat has become even more urgent.
So is that your message for President Trump when you meet with him at the White House?
So I believe that we will probably have such discussions. The two of us will both be in office and working together for the next 5 years. And the two of us also share the common goals of resolving the North Korean nuclear issue, establishing a peace regime on the Korean Peninsula, and building peace and security in Northeast Asia. So if the two of us could pull together and accomplish these common goals, then I believe that this will be the most fruitful achievements that we can achieve during our terms in office. And I also believe that this will be the greatest diplomatic achievement for President Trump as well.
You believe that his greatest diplomatic achievement will be what happens here on the Korean Peninsula?
Yes, that is because President Trump has mentioned that North Korea was on the top of his priority list, and also because this is something that all the former U.S. administrations could not achieve. And so I highly commend President Trump's placing such great importance on the North Korean nuclear issue. And I also believe that thanks to President Trump's approach and attitude, there is a possibility of resolving this issue.
You have promised to sit knee to knee, head to head with the North Korean dictator. Can you go to Pyongyang this year? Can you meet with him this year?
I certainly hope that the conditions could become right for such dialogue before the end of the year. And just because we believe that dialogue is necessary does not mean that we have to be impatient for dialogue. And so, what I hope to achieve by the end of this year is to draw North Korea out to the table for negotiation through the implementation of various and strong sanctions and pressure.
You have laid out very ambitious goals. How can you achieve what others have been unable to achieve?
There was a time when we got very close to achieving that goal. This is not my unilateral initiative. This is also an initiative that had been pursued by the United States in the past.
And you will ask President Trump to renew that?
If I have the opportunity, yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you so much. So as you just heard, there's been a lot of news made out of this interview. There has also already been a diplomatic kerfuffle, if you will, ahead of President Moon's visit to meet with Trump. One of his advisors, informal advisors, was actually in Washington this week and suggested that South Korea would be willing to scale back military exercises with the U.S. So we asked President Moon to clarify that. Is that on the table? Is that concession on the table? And he said it is not.
Well, there's certainly a lot to discuss there, Norah. Here's a question for you. How likely do you think it is that the two leaders will meet, North Korea and South Korea, Mr. Moon and Kim Jong-un, face to face before this year is over?
Yeah. I mean, that's the question I said. Can you get it done this year? And he said he's hopeful that the conditions would be set for such a meeting. So they're working towards that. He wasn't, willing to say that he hopes it happens this year, but that is certainly a goal to set the conditions for that. And he's the one who brought up that President Trump in the past has said that he'd be willing to share a burger with Kim Jong-un. So the possibility, imagine, of even President Trump having a face-to-face meeting with Kim Jong-un. Those are, I think, are in the distance, not likely to happen anytime soon, if at all. But the fact that that's being raised is an interesting diplomatic tool that's being used at this time.
Does Moon Jae-in want to see North Korea and South Korea united, something that the Chinese are very opposed to?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, Charlie, because not only is he promising a freeze in nuclear weapons and an ultimate denuclearization, he is also talking about a peace agreement, uniting North and South Korea. And as you know, that's been an elusive goal since the end of the Korean War 64 years ago. So that comes with its own set of complications. And there's a lot of concern, too, about talking about unification and those sorts of things before you deal with the issue of nuclear weapons, that has to be dealt with before anything else.
Norah, thank you very much. Good job. We'll have more of Norah's interview with South Korea's president on our streaming network, CBSN. You can watch on the CBS News app or at cbsnews.com.